So I just got back from another Premier League and I was really excited to go and do this one because it was my second into 2 I'd been doing on Wilf, and also the last show I'd gone to I had won on him, so of course that expectation's there. So going into it I was really excited, but he gets quite nervous in outdoor arenas, and this one was like a big outdoor show. So in the warm-up I could feel him, he was really, I just knew, because I know him so well, he was just not very happy. And I got him into the test and I went down the centre line, and the first stride into the arena he just blew up, and I was like, oh no. But I rode him through it because, you know, my job is to look after him and help him through the test, and I rode him through it, and we got really good marks for the hard bits like the piaffe, the passage and the wands, but he was too tense to walk. He was really struggling with just keeping his attention on me. So that dramatically hurt our mark. So I got 61% and I was just mortified. But the thing that really gets me is when I'm coming out the arena and I can just feel the emotions like welling up within me, and I get so embarrassed because I don't want to cry in front of people. I hate crying in front of people, but trying to get from the arena to the lorry without crying when people are like, how did it go? And they're trying to be really nice and friendly. And you're like, and you just want to get there, and you just don't want anyone to talk to you because you're so embarrassed and you feel like so ashamed that it's gone wrong. So I get back into the lorry and it's just like a barricade of emotion hits me, and the tears just start going, and I feel angry, I feel frustrated, I feel like I've let the horse down. I just feel so many different emotions and it's horrible. And I just feel like it's the end of the world. And then as well, when you start seeing all the riders that are doing really well, of course I'm happy for them because I know it's hard for them as well, but I start to judge myself. I'm like, you know, I'm not as good as them, they're better than me, I'm doing something wrong. I start over-analysing everything. I was like, I basically am doing it all wrong and I need to like change everything. The problem with this is it's okay to feel that way for a certain amount of time, but there gets to a point where you have to switch it up and you have to think, right, what can I do to improve this? Okay, so you're in the lorry and you're feeling really disappointed with the test or the show. How are we going to move forwards from this? So the first thing we have to think about is, and I'm really passionate about this, is feeling the emotions. Don't be embarrassed or ashamed of the fact that you are disappointed. The fact you are disappointed just shows how passionate you are about the show, about your horses. So don't worry about that. You have to let those emotions out in a place where you feel comfortable. So say, for example, for me, I have to come back to the lorry because I don't want to be bawling and crying in front of everybody. But I make sure I feel those emotions. I speak through them with my mum. Otherwise, if I don't allow those emotions to come out, they're only going to build up more and get worse. And the thing is with emotions, they will eventually come out. And if you keep suppressing them, they'll come out in a much more dramatic form. So first of all, I let the emotions out, but then there has to come a cut-off point where you don't play the victim. You don't just sit there and go, oh, poor me, everything's difficult for me. You have to move forwards. So for me, I give myself, say I've competed in the afternoon, I'd give myself that evening to kind of wallow in self-pity, unless I have another test, and then I have to focus for that horse, for that ride, because I have to give my all to that animal. So once I've done that, I'm then going to let my emotions free. I'm just going to go with it. And then I sleep on it and I wake up in the morning and I go, okay, it's a fresh day. How am I going to face this? How am I going to get better from this situation? Because the main thing you have to take from this is people learn so much more from failures than they do from successes. And this has really helped me to not be frightened of failure. So once I've kind of accepted that, I then have to look at myself and I'm brutally honest with myself. And this is really difficult to do, I get that. But you have to be logical about it. And this is why it's good to let go of the emotions, and then you can be more logical about stuff. You can look at things in a more, you can just be more self-aware. So I then look at, okay, what could I have done better? What could I have done going into this show that would have helped me? Did I prepare for this enough? And for me, I know that I hadn't prepared enough. I hadn't run through the test. I hadn't worked in the day before at the show, so he wasn't acclimatized to the arena. And that was just a lack of being prepared. And that was my fault, that's not the horse's fault. So then I take that on board and I don't beat myself up about it, because there's no point in being horrible to yourself about it. you have to be constructively critical about yourself. And that's what I do. I just go, right, where could I have changed things? What could I have done? And then I can take that from what I've learned from that show into the next show. And then I know that it wasn't a waste of time. It wasn't that I just went there and completely messed up. I've learned valuable lessons from it. So an important part to getting your riding better and learning in any part of life is reviewing back. So watching your performance back. And I'm really lucky that my mum, okay, it's a little bit wobbly when she films, but she films my tests, so I can watch them back and I can see where I need to improve and say my position or how I'm setting moves up and how I'm like helping the horse. And what's been really good for me is because I've been vlogging for like 2.5 years now, I've been able to see like the progression, and also it's always filmed. And because as well I edit it, I have to go through the whole test and analyse it for the vlog anyway. But what it's helped me with is to see what I need to improve. So in this test that I was watching, it's the first test I've done on Wilf for that show, and I could really see that my hands were moving a lot more than normal, because where I'm trying to relax, I'm actually moving my hands too much, and it makes his contact a little bit more inconsistent and it just doesn't help him. And I think he picks up on that as well. So I analysed the first test, and then the next day I knew that I could go into that test really thinking about keeping my hands still and focusing. And that's how I, like, overnight could go from coming last to then we actually went and won the next day, because I've been able to switch it up. And that's why it's just so important to be able to review the way you're riding. So watching yourself compete is really crucial, but also watching yourself training is really good. So if you can get someone to film you whilst you're riding, that'd be amazing. But if you don't have someone on the ground, then what I invested in, because as you can see, my mum's filming skills are like, ooh, I invested in a Pixio, because this tracks me wherever I'm going. It zooms in, it zooms out, all that stuff. And I don't have to stress out about the camera angles, because what was happening when I was riding is I was always like, did you get that, Mum? Did you get that? And then my focus was completely away from actually focusing on the horses. So with this, I don't even need to worry about it. I just pop the watch on, go off and ride, and it films me, and then I can kind of review my training session after, and it has been a game changer. Watching yourself riding is really, really important, but the other side of it, which is also equally as important, is the mindset behind it. So, okay, you've started watching yourself riding, but now how are you going to take that and improve? And something that's really helped me is visualization. So what this basically is, it's picturing exactly how you want it to go. So for example, I did it with the centre line. He'd blown up going down the centre line. So what I did is I went through it and I pictured exactly how I wanted it to feel. I think about what I can see. I think about, you can even do like what you smell, what you can feel. So I'll feel like the reins in my hand. And I think about it going in the best possible way. And this really helps me because I can do this off the horse, so I don't have to keep going into the test to do it. And I can really prep myself, and again, it's just something that you can do within that 24 hours before you do your next test. So that really helps. And the other thing that's massively important is self-talk. So how you're speaking to yourself is so important. If you're constantly putting yourself down, then it's going to have a negative impact. So I always try to talk to myself in a positive light, and I don't mean like a namby-pamby, like wishy-washy way. I try and talk to myself in like a motivational coach way. So I'll always be like, I will, I must, I can do better. And I just keep telling myself this. So going into it, like I said, I'm my own motivational coach. I'm feeling really positive, and this really helps me to not give up, because that is the most important thing. You've got to know that failures are going to come, and when you're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, you're going to fail more, but that's fine. The main thing is that you just do not give up. So using my story as an example, because it's literally just happened, I think when did I get back from the show? Like 2 days ago. I knew that I had to do something. So I had all these emotions, I had this disappointment, I had these awful feelings, and I knew I had to do something. And there was some of me that wanted to just pack up and go home, because I was like so disappointed. But then I knew that that wasn't going to get me anywhere. So I took what had happened, I took that failure and I learned from it, and I started doing my visualization and my self-talk. And then the most amazing thing happened. So the next day when I competed, I actually won the class, and this is all down to being self-aware and switching things up and not letting that failure get the better of me. So it's natural to feel disheartened when we fail. It just shows that you're human. But what's really important is the self-awareness and how you move forwards from this. So just remember don't play the victim, and you got this. I tried to get the crying scene and I was like, how do you make yourself cry? So I Googled it and they said, tip one is keep your eyes open until you feel some tears. Or tip two, breathe a little faster. I can't do it, I blinked.
You look like you're about to attack.
Hold your eyes open. Take shallow breaths. Oh, it's actually a fact. Many times when you cry for real, you start double breathing. Make sad facial expressions. Honestly, when I actually start crying for real, like really a lot, I like can't stop my mouth doing that. You know, like little kids, and they're like, it actually happened. Rub, oh my gosh. Rub Petra jelly under your eyes to make it look like you've been crying. Let's do that! Let me get some. We've got loads. Yes!